We have among us celebrated artist Prem Singh, whom Chandigarh can be very proud of, former alumnus as well as principal of Government College of Art Chandigarh. He can easily be dubbed as an artist of, rather, a master of lyricism, visual poetry, and rhythm. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of Chandigarh Lalit Kala Academy. So we are sitting here in Open Hand Studio, and what do you think is the role of studio in an artist's life? How much can it shape one's creative process, enhance it further?
So I started my journey as an art student from Chandigarh College of Art. So that was the time when the word studio enters into my world. So I immediately, in fact, consulted the dictionary. So there I could find the meaning that studio is a room where an artist works. So then I thought that there must be something in my own language also. So then I searched for it and finally I found one very beautiful word. That's Shilpshala. So studio means Shilpshala, where an artist works and see his ideas comes to light there.
So it is not a modern concept. Do you think it's a modern concept, or it has existed in our world, especially our art world, this part of the tradition, since ages?
Art is a contemplative activity. So when you contemplate, you need to have a space of your own, because that is a state of utmost concentration in which you hear the voices of silence coming from within you. So you need to have a place of your own without any disturbance or distraction, where you could hear those voices quite clearly. Only then you can think of expressing them or giving a visual voice.
But compared to the open studios, that the vast expanse of nature where traditionally also artists have taken their canvas and worked there, to having a four-walled space, what would be the defining difference? What do you think works better, to work outside in open spaces or within a structure like this one?
In fact, that when Chandigarh was growing the new capital of Punjab after the partition, so we were studying in the college. We used to go to the museums also. So when we looked at paintings displayed in the museum, we were imagining at that time, which is that place where the artist sits and paints such beautiful pictures. So I think that studio and artist, it's like Nareshwara, half male, half female.
That's so.
So for me, it's like that only, because studio is in fact a place where I can breathe at my own and breathe out whatever I feel within me.
So when was it that you found your, that Ardhanareshwar partner for the first time?
This, in fact, when I joined the college as a teacher, that was in 1968. So I was longing for a studio. But for 35 years, I couldn't afford the studio. I have been painting either in my home or in the college on weekend days. But one thing is there, that artist is a person, who can live even in the adverse to adverse circumstances. Because I think art inspires us to look around. When we look around, we experience it. Then there are certain experiences which in fact craves for expression. So that is the moment, that is the time, when you look for a place where you can express yourself and give your ideas a life.
But now you have a studio of your own in Delhi, I believe.
Yes, I have. Because that is the reason, because when I retired from the college, I knew that I couldn't afford my independent studio here in Chandigarh. But I had in my focus Gadi Studios. So immediately after my retirement, I applied for a studio in Gari. And immediately after that, I went abroad. I went to England, I went to Europe, I went to Canada, and I went to USA. So when I was in USA, I got a phone call from my son that today I have got a letter in which you have been allotted a studio in Gari. So that was the happiest moment. So when I came back from USA in October 2001, so I just took over the charge of the studio, looked at it, and just in the heart of my heart, I was feeling now belonging to a space which is entirely mine.
So was that a turning point in your life?
Yes, it was a turning point in the sense that because you long for a space, you long for a place where you could work without any disturbance, without any distraction, and that too in all your calmness and peace.
You mean it gives you a lot of freedom to work in that space?
Yes, that when you are in your own space, the freedom is there. And I also believe when the freedom is there, that's the time when the imagination works at its best also.
So you moved from figurative to abstraction.
Yes.
So what was the moment when when this happened? This transition happened.
In fact, I did a series, on 1984, right?
Right, the
I was
famous.
so hurt by that happening, that tragedy. So then I thought that this is the handiwork of the civilized world. Then why not go back to the very first man and start life again? So then I just imagined myself as the first man on the planet. None is there around. So I then in fact thought of expressing myself. So the water was the only thing that came to me. So I just started expressing myself in water. So I could only see when the light is there. Then after that I found that I am very close to nature. So because Chandigarh is the one city in fact which gave me a lot of inspiration. So that was the time when I felt that the nature is around me and it's growing within me. So why not give a expression to it? So then the idea came to my mind that we looked at the plant, the plant is growing every moment, but it's not susceptible to the naked eye. So that is kind of organic breathing, which I try to imbue with a painting. So this is in nature, inspired from nature, but the nature that grew within me.
Right.
So that is how I got into the abstraction.
But you grew up in Patiala, and then of course you spent a considerable amount of time in Chandigarh, and then now you're in Delhi. So do cities influence an artist? You've spoken about Chandigarh, of course.
Yes, because each city has its own perspective. So while I was living in Chandigarh, what I was doing there, it was viewed in the provincial perspective. So Delhi being the national capital, but I am not doing there, it is viewed in the national perspective. So this perspective from city to city varies.
So how did the visual vocabulary change in Delhi?
So in fact, one is that I had my own studio. Another is that I retired from my job and I had no other family liability. So that all in fact put into one there. So gave me a new energy, and from that energy a new world just emerged.
So you often also talk about 4 C's that influence your art. So can you dwell a little more and tell us about these 4 C's in particular?
I couldn't.
4 C's, you say: consistency.
Yes. Because this is in fact, these are the words in fact which reinforced me on my journey into art. So one I say the passion, the other is compassion, commitment, competence, and then continue. So if you remain focused and have all the C's with you, so then of course that kind of persistence helps you to succeed what you want to do.
But there's another C, change. How important is that in the process of continuity?
The continuity, in fact, has the best way to create new work is to keep working, not thinking. So I kept myself working, and out of my working, things happen for me, and I'm happy that way.
You've been associated in the world with the world of art for several decades. So, how much has art world changed in these decades, and how much has that affected your own journey?
So in fact, this art is creation, art is expression, art is energy, art is seeing. And, so art is always in evolution. Because once it becomes stagnant, so it finishes that way. So it is always evolving. So I have, in fact, been painting for the last 50 years now. And from the day one to the today, so there is a sea change among the artists. This technology has come into it. So the technology and new medias, even new ways of expression. Because art is expression, there is no limitation that it's confined to painting, sculpture, printmaking, or ceramics. So it has a vast scope to explore your creativity. So that way I think there is a sea change, and some of the this young generation, by using this new media technique, have created something very stunning. And
were you not tempted by technology yourself?
No, it's in fact when I feel happy what I am doing it, that why should I look for others? So, but I enjoy what others do. I don't condemn them. So whenever there is some invention or innovation in art, and I find that this young generation is adding a new dimension to the expression, so I always welcome that, even sometimes learn from it.
But experimentation is integral to art. You've been using a lot of juices and all in your art. How did that come about?
No, in fact, when the artist, I love traveling from place to place. I have traveled a lot over the last 20-25 years. So these things, in fact, you don't look for there. They just come to you. Because when I was in London, it was not possible to get the materials because I was new to that place. So I looked around and found what you say, all these things, and see the possibility of my expression into it, and I did that.
And it was well received?
Of course it was well received, because it was just out of the necessity is the mother of invention.
Right.
So it came from that, So, but the underlying thing is that it's this basic expression. Do you feel inspired? If you feel inspired, only then you will look for all these things. If you are not, then you are just sitting and looking at it.
But how are you able to find such joy, such beauty, especially in the divisive times that we live in?
That is true, because I am a dude. It's almost a way of life for me. So when I do things or when I contemplate over things, that adds joy to my soul. So when you are happy with the music, so naturally then things grow within you. Of course, things grow, but not without struggle. You have to struggle a lot, because this journey of art is not just all about joy and happiness. It's a journey of pain and pleasure, because I have seen people crying loudly in their studios, and finally when they are able to resolve their problems, resolve the issues which they are confronting at that time, then I have seen them enjoying at their best also.
But after your Veiled Women series, which got a lot of critical acclaim also, were you not impelled by any other event to paint to similar kind of series?
So when I in fact went into nature, I found there's a vast expanse. Singing melodies of seasons, interposed by the chirping of the birds, rustling of the leaves. That's so comforting, so inspiring. Even if you don't paint, you just listen to them. You feel that you are in the process of creation.
But do colors also have a voice? This renowned art critic Keshav Malik once has said about your work that you understand the psychology of colors very well. So do colors have a mind of their own?
Yes, in fact, we generally consider 5 elements: the air, water, this and that. But I add 6th element as color to it. Just eliminate the color from your life and see what is there. You don't see anything. So, color is life, but it has to be used wisely. So that way, the color is life, color is voice, color is expression, color is mood, color is what you are.
Color is what you are, and color is also symbolic.
Yes, in fact, when you paint, there is some emotive responses. So those emotive responses are expressed through color.
A trained eye looks at abstraction in a very different fashion, but a layman looks at it with always a question mark. Okay, the first question is, what is this? What does it represent? How often have you faced this question?
I have been facing this question quite frequently, but over the last 15 or 20 years, when I went into abstraction, less and less people now ask me this question. Because they even tell me that they find music in it.
Which is definitely
true. They
yes.
find the season in that. They find the chirping of the birds in that. So that in fact gives me a lot of happiness. Because at one time the people were asking that, what you say that what is art, what does it represent? But now they are over asking. So they are in fact telling me of their own experiences.
So what do you think then? Your works have become more evocative, or the viewers have become more trained?
Both. So because the style is evolved, the expression is evolved. So since I have been painting for the last 50 years now, so I have many discerning viewers of my artwork. But I am happy that those discerning viewers are increasing every day with every exposition of mine.
So how true is the visual illiteracy syndrome that kind of afflicts India and often is lamented by artists?
Because one thing which I in fact believe is that art is not a mass activity.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Because when we paint a picture, we paint a picture with you as the second person. Because when you are in the act of painting, you are an artist. When you are looking at it, you are a perceptive viewer. So the duality of yourself, in fact, is there in your own studio. So then after that, it belongs to the society. So because there is no other purpose of art than to be seen and shared. So when you put up your work on display, the basic desire is to be seen. And those seeing of art, in fact, earns me a vital relationship.
Right.
So to me, art is in fact one of the vital means of seeking relationship with the people.
So, but would you not want the numbers to increase? Would you not want your work to be shared by as many more people?
Me, I love to be, but in fact, I once read about an artist. When you are painting or on your journey, if in all your journey you find one discerning viewers to your art, so you think that your journey is rewarded.
It's
It's not
complete.
the number.
It's complete then.
It's complete in itself. So even if you get one discerning viewers of your work, so the whole journey is rewarded.
I'm sure you found many, so any one viewer's comments that you truly cherish?
So, in fact, I once exhibiting in Jahangir Art Gallery. So there I found it's a visitor from China.
Okay.
He looked